The first page is every vessel shall use all available means appropriate to the prevailing circumstances and condition to determine if risk of collision exists. If there is any attempt, such risk shall be deemed to exist. Which means, for example, taking all above, the watchkeeper has to judge whether even a slight risk exists, and if this slight chance does exist, then he shall note that risk exists. And the second page is proper use shall be made of radar equipment of fitted and operational encoded long-range scanning to obtain early warning to risk of collision and radar floating or equipment systematic observation of detected objects. This applies that the radar has to be used long-range scanning to detect the ships and do a radar plot that determine whether the ship would pose an hazard or not, and this is determined as the systematic observation. And the third page is assumptions shall not be made on the basis of scanty information, especially scanty radar information. Which means if the target has been observed once in a while, then the assessment is not correct. The plot is required, and then plot has to be checked by following it up the radar observation. And the next page is in determining of risks of collision exists. The following considerations shall be among those taken in. Such risk shall be deemed to exist if the compass bearing of a approaching vessel does not appreciably change. It means this fact is the most important. If the bearing change for a ship at the appreciable range, then the risk factor is less. However, it has to be remembered that the change of bearing has to be appreciably or else would be significant, and thus the risk would still exist. A small change should therefore be viewed with suspension, and the doubt should arise in the mind of the observer. And the last part is such risk may sometimes exist even when an appreciable bearing change is evident, particularly when approaching a very large vessels or a tow, or when approaching a vessels of close range. It means, as mentioned above, the hearing change should be ever evident. However, sometimes this appreciably large change may not hold true for observation of large vessels which subtend a significant angle at the observer. If the flow was being observed and the aspects of the ship changed from end onto the side, then to the bearing change would be evident, but that does not mean that the risk does not exist for the large vessels which subtend the angle at the observer. Care should be exercised.